president. CNN has learned that the Florida governor is going to make the announcement tonight during an interview with Elon Musk on Twitter. His wife, Casey DeSantis, the first lady of Florida, released this teaser video of him getting ready to walk out on a stage as a dramatic voiceover speaks in the background.
Do I have the courage? Is it worth the sacrifice? America has been worth it every single time.
DeSantis has widely been seen as former President Trump's leading challenger for the Republican nomination. But there are big questions about what this launch will look like because his poll numbers have been slipping after some shaky performances leading up to this launch. Trump has been relentlessly attacking him for months now.
And we're now learning that Trump and his allies have been preparing for this moment with a coordinated plan to try to upend DeSantis' campaign launch. A source tells CNN it includes a social media blitz and Trump surrogates appearing in Miami, where DeSantis is set to begin meeting with donors today. So let's begin this hour with Kristen Holmes, who joins us now. You cover all things Trump world. What is this anti-DeSantis blitz going to look like?
Good morning, Poppy. Well, the social media blitz is actually very interesting. I talked to a number of advisors. They have been courting some of the biggest names in conservative new and social media since last year. That means bringing them down to Mar-a-Lago, letting them fly on the plane with the former president, trying to get them to give the former president their backing. And we're likely going to see that network at play today. Now, we are being told by advisors they're going to hit DeSantis on a number of different policy topics. That's going to include his reforming.
Oh, my God. The biggest names in social media, the biggest names in conservative social media. What? This shit is so fucking stupid, bro. Okay. In an hour, little Rhonda is going to be side by side with little Elon Musk, okay? I cannot wait for Donald Trump to start fucking ripping this motherfucker into shreds. Izzy's going to be content, I believe, in 30 minutes, actually, not even an hour. So we'll see how like epic and based the based groypers get on Twitter and on social media for Donald Trump. I feel like that. I suspect a lot of that will be cringe and corny. Okay. But who knows?
Entitlement programs, his past views on trade policy, on China, his COVID-19 response.
Who they had what? Cat Turd on? Is that what happened? Cat Turd 2 is on board with Trump? Is that what
when he was the governor of Florida. Now, in addition to this social media blitz, we are also told it's going to include a rollout of videos, including one of Trump directly addressing the camera and DeSantis's candidacy. Even with those polls, Poppy, that Caitlin just mentioned, even though the fact that Trump is leading, there is not a single advisor that I have spoken to who believes that this is over or isn't concerned about it. They believe he might get a boost in the polls after this announcement, and they do believe that DeSantis is Trump's biggest competitor. So they are taking this incredibly seriously, Poppy.
It's so interesting because it's such a stark difference to how Trump almost welcomed Tim Scott into this race earlier this week. Is there anyone in Trump world that's worried that all these sustained attacks on DeSantis could actually not help Trump?
I would say that there are no advisors in Trump world who believe that these sustained attacks on DeSantis are going to hurt Trump in any way. But I will tell you that
I like that Donald Trump's only competition is like, or at least the people, the person they're propping up as Donald Trump's only competition is 30 points away from him and is basically another cookie cutter carbon cutout of Donald Trump, but just worse, not as charismatic. So, like, what do you, like, look at him. Even the fucking finger point. Like, he's just trying to be Trump. You will never be Trump. You will never be Trump.
That I've spoken to a number of people outside of his orbit, Republican operatives, people who even support the former president, who do not want him to continue attacking DeSantis. They want to be able to say that DeSantis will run in 2028 when Trump is done, and that that's his time to run. And it's harder for them to say that and get behind that if the former president is constantly attacking Ron DeSantis.
Kristen, thanks for all the reporting.
Yeah, a lot of questions about what that's going to look like. So for more on this, let's bring in Sarah Fisher, CNN's media analyst and media reporter at Axios, CNN correspondent Donny O'Sullivan, and Ben Smith, who is the co-founder and editor-in-chief of semaphore. Tony, what do you make of the fact that this is how that DeSantis is choosing to launch his campaign in this moment with Elon Musk?
Well, it's Donald Trump's old turf, right? I mean, he used
Donnie
Twitter so
O'Sullivan!
effectively. Look, I mean, I think Musk has tried to position this platform as a bastion of free speech, unless, of course, you're people in Turkey tweeting things that the government doesn't like up to the election, or a journalist who's tweeting about Elon Musk's jet. But all that,
Just a small caveat.
all that to one side,
Any personal
bastion
experience.
of free speech. So I think he's very much DeSantis, who we know loves this, engaging in the culture wars. He's going to the home of it today. I got to say, though, I can not see Trump resisting coming back on the platform today. The last time he tweeted was January 8, 2021.
Yeah.
I can't see Trump giving up that
And that
space.
legal restraint that held Trump on Truth Social is over now. So he can, isn't it?
I
He can go back to
think
Twitter.
it's unclear.
It's still not
Personally,
totally
yeah.
clear what the shareholders would make of that.
Yes.
Okay, we'll see. Your headline is amazing this morning, Sarah.
Thank you.
Musk moves in on Murdoch, meaning Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah, I mean, a couple years ago, Fox is where you would expect to see someone like Ron DeSantis trying to kick off his campaign. The fact that he's going to Twitter, it also suggests and caps off a week of a lot of conservative movement to Twitter. So it's really notable. You had Tucker Carlson saying that he's moving his Fox primetime show to Twitter. Yesterday, I reported that the Daily Wire, which is a huge conservative entertainment media company, is moving its podcasts over to Twitter. You're going to start.
The internet is far too expansive and vast as a medium, I guess, if you want to call it that, for one place to consolidate as many viewers as possible. This is why it can never truly compete in the same way with like Fox News. You can get hyper specific, as I talked about before. You can get hyper specific targeting and hit like really important demographics if you want. Okay, but the medium is far too big for as many fucking people to consolidate in one place as possible. It's kind of still why network television holds on to a tremendous amount of revenue. If you look at like individual TV stations and the amount of revenue they generate, it's going to be far greater than an individual channel, no matter how broad and expansive this individual channel online is, right? Even platforms in its entirety are not going to be able to keep up with the revenues as long as it's like one fucking as long as it's like one Twitter Spaces, for example. So if you are looking for a place to announce, I don't think Twitter is the best place to do so, because whatever your announcement is on Fox News, it's going to inevitably end up on Twitter regardless. Twitter's turning into Gab. Oh, 100%. It is already there. Twitter is the worst, dude. It's like Facebook and Gab combined.
Start to see a lot more momentum flock there from conservatives, and that used to be Fox's territory. If you're Rupert Murdoch, this is a scary time.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. Sarah and I had exactly the same take, which could either means we're both deluded or yeah. I think it's a moment when all media is splintering, and Fox had this incredible monopoly on the conservative space. And it's going to Twitter. I do think the question in this moment when things are just so polarized is, can Twitter hold on? If Twitter becomes the central conservative media space, which is an okay business, it's not a business like being a social platform. Can they hold on to anything else? Can they remain a sort of central convening space for journalists, entertainers, athletes? I think that's a totally open question.
Yeah, it is a question, but
I also suspect that this will greatly boost Donald Trump, and here's why. Because Donald Trump is a hero in the conservative sphere, right? And every hero needs a good villain, or at least like a side boss that they take down with ease and swiftly in a very charismatic fashion, and then everybody, rallies behind him. And that is precisely what's going to happen with Ron DeSantis. Like, Ron DeSantis is so uncharismatic, and everything he tries to do is just basically Donald Trump, but worse, that Donald Trump is going to turn around and whip him around, okay? And that will only get more attention to Donald Trump. Look at the way that the media is covering him right now. Doesn't get a lot of coverage, right? Doesn't get as much coverage as he used to, Donald Trump, I mean. They did the town hall. Everybody yelled at them. They're desperate for more Donald Trump content because he's the content king. So now there's plenty of opportunity to focus on Donald Trump. It's not just about like going around and like, scouring Truth Social to see what he's saying, which, by the way, greatly, and I mean greatly fucking takes away from his impact, for the record. Okay? But at least all eyes will be on him to basically snap back at DeSantis, and that's Trump at his very best. So that's what's going to happen.
He's not just going on Twitter. He's expected to go and do an interview with Fox News right after this. So he does have that two-pronged approach.
They're second.
Yeah, they are second. Speaking of diluted, though, Trump's one of his PACs said they believe, because he's launching this with Elon Musk, it's one of the most out-of-touch campaign launches in modern history.
But the thing is, Ron DeSantis kind of wants it to be that way. He has been sending a signal all along throughout his campaign that he can go around the mainstream media. That is them. They are the enemy. I don't work with them and I don't play ball. Of course, we know that's not true. He still needs to rely on Fox News and other mainstream outlets. But in choosing to start on Twitter and having the press, us, talk about it, he is sending a signal to his supporters, look, I'm the person that's not dealing with that mainstream media like others are.
Yeah, I would say, the problem is here,
His supporters don't think Fox News is mainstream media. What are you talking about? The Republican voters, especially the primary voters, don't think Fox News is mainstream media. Okay? They think Fox News is something different, even though it is the most mainstream of mainstream media. So avoiding or sidestepping Fox News when it's like ease of access and convenience for every fucking 65 plus voter in the Republican Party is just a dumb move, okay? And I don't really understand why they're trying to like present this as like a brilliant strategic move. We'll see what happens, but I just don't think so. Because Twitter is a secondary platform. Twitter's not the primary platform. The primary platform is television, and then Twitter already boosts whatever the fuck's going on TV. You know what I mean?
He sort of took Donald Trump's attacks on the media sort of literally rather than seriously. I mean, Donald Trump attacked...
It's a gimmick. It's a one-off. They're talking about a gimmick. A one-off to get people talking about like why he did this. Which, in my opinion, is like kind of stupid. He's literally ducking his supporters by announcing on Twitter versus IRL with the supporters.
The media, but and as you know better than any other single person on the planet, does it on our platforms in a way that is intended to reach the audience of this media. DeSantis looks at Trump, says, "Oh, he hates the media. He doesn't deal with the media." Nobody deals with the media more than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is centrally a media character whose entire style is to create engagement with us. And DeSantis is doing this other thing, which is almost like listening too closely to Trump and taking it totally literally and not talking to the media. I think that's a sort of a strange move, and particularly if you look at the demographics of the Iowa caucuses where where this is actually gonna happen. I was just looking at the entrance polls in 2016. I think there are more people, about the same number of people over 65 as there are under 45. So I'm not sure it's a social Twitter audience.
But within the Republican conservative right-wing online space, this...
Yeah, also, it's a platform killer. Like, platforms rely on, revenue, advertisement dollars to exist, but really they rely on the momentum from the market, right? Like, how big they could potentially get. And how big you can potentially get is with a daily active user base that is, like, incredibly online. That's why TikTok is still pretty solid as the social media platform that everyone is interested in. Why? Because the youth is on there. Trying to market your platform to 65-plus-year-olds, 65-year-olds is fucking insane to me. Like, what are you doing? It's such a massive misstep. Sure, they have disposable income, but they already have their brand loyalties. There's a reason why the 18 to 35 demographic is seen as like the golden demographic for marketers. Twitter's momentum surrounding genuinely trying to Twitter putting any effort into like getting the Facebook moms and dads, like the divorced dads and the Brendas of the world, to come onto Twitter and post their dumbass shit is really idiotic. None of them are going to be buying Twitter Blue, even though some of them have already. It's not going to be enough. And they're going to die soon. So what the fuck are you doing? And all you will do when you do that is push the daily active users, like the most active community of 18 to 35-year-olds, away, because nobody wants to be on the stinky-ass platform when where their great-grandparents are talking about how satanic pedophilia is happening at Target. Fox News strips Tucker Carlson's studio of all the equipment after he announced his Twitter show. They took the set and everything. That's so funny. That's hilarious. I mean, it was ugly as hell anyway.
This isn't necessarily just mainstream media, quote unquote, versus Twitter and social media. Internally within that space, Twitter is now competing with the websites like Rumble. We normally think of like it's Twitter versus Facebook versus YouTube. Now, Twitter and Rumble, which is a new video platform
That Donald Trump Jr. is on.
exactly, has signed exclusive partnerships with a lot of influential figures on the right. Twitter is now competing for those people as well.
And worth noting, David Sachs, who's going to be the person moderating this interview tonight with Ron DeSantis on the Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, dude. Everyone is like stoked for David Sachs, dude. It's like I'm always thinking like, man, of David Sachs. Like, this is the most pathetic, like, designed for the Republican Party, but like the centrist Republicans, I guess, stunt that you could put together. And it doesn't even make sense because, like, Ron DeSantis' policies are not designed to captivate that audience. Ron DeSantis aesthetically might try to appeal to that audience, the Republican Party. The Republican Party's like the people in positions of power within the Republican Party, you know what I mean? But his policy positions are Donald Trump and to the right of Donald Trump in some instances, actually, where he goes too fucking hard. Abortion bans at 6 weeks. Like, I mean, that's fucking crazy, right? And it's unpopular. He's just, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. He's like doing government regulation on corporations, whether it's Disney or not, doesn't matter. Boomers are going to hate that. Government regulation that actually harms businesses that want to hire undocumented citizens, which literally wipes out the agriculture business in Florida. They will not like that either. The idea that little Rhonda is both simultaneously on the aesthetic front appealing to the centrist Republicans, which do not exist in the primary anyway, versus his policy positions being like the most reactionary policies that you could possibly arrive at, being a national Republican Party that will national Republican campaign that will be successful in the long run is stupid. Okay, he's a true believer, though. No, he's not. He's a true believer in the party, man. He's a party man. If tomorrow the Republican Party decided to go with like the early Mitt Romney strategy of being more open-minded towards immigrants, which they won't because Donald Trump showed that was stupid, and you can be as reactionary as possible towards immigrants and everyone will love you and support you for it in the Republican base. But if they were to turn around and say, yeah, we're actually going to be more open-minded about immigration, we're going to do amnesty, and it actually played well in the Republican demographics, the Republican voter base, Ron DeSantis would be the most pro-immigrant motherfucker you've ever seen overnight. These guys do not have like genuine fascist interests. You can't tell me that a guy who went to Harvard and Yale is like legitimately out and about Nicholas Fuentes style fucking Nazi. That's not the case. Now, of course, listen, is the average neoliberal, whether they're in the Democratic Party and they're or the Republican Party, is their worldview so captured by the disdain that they feel for non-white people and immigrants and the like, so that they can just like cast them aside? Absolutely. So in that regard, yes, they're like cut a liberal and a fascist bleeds, but they're not any more different than your average Democrat. They're not any more different than like fucking Henry Cuellar, Bob Menendez, these kinds of Democrats.
That's being co-hosted by DeSantis and Elon Musk is not just a DeSantis supporter, but a Rumble supporter and affiliated with them. And so I'm looking forward to 2024, to Donnie's point, seeing what the infighting is, not just between the mainstream outlets trying to grab for candidates, that's what it's always been, but these new sort of right-leaning outlets that are going to be competing for their attention.
Yeah, it's totally fascinating. And that he's a big voice in the business community, too.
Bro, saying DeSantis can't be a Nazi because he went to Harvard is hardcore, like for real, actual Papiga take. DeSantis is the same kind of Nazi that like the average fucking Republican is, though. That's what I'm trying to say. They're a Nazi not because they want to fucking push for like, he's not Stephen Miller, okay? He's not Steve Bannon. He's a Nazi in the sense that, like, every other Republican is, okay? So stop being a fucking weirdo leftist when I'm talking to normies, because no one is going to agree with you, okay? He is a Nazi in the same way that, like, Ted Cruz is, okay? So not the same. You will never be able to captivate a broad audience by saying, like, every Republican is a Nazi, every Republican is a Nazi. Like, it's not. I'm cutting content for, like, the average person, okay? And there are plenty of people like that in the Democratic Party as well. The disdain that they feel, or the careless nature in which they approach, like, immigrant policies, is the same shit. Okay? Is the same shit.
Yes.
It's also interesting given DeSantis versus Disney.
We're shocked by that.
He defended how DeSantis handled COVID back in 2021. He was a big fan of that. And also, I think that what everyone is watching today is not just how he's launching this, but what that actually looks like, and if it does help him, given he has been slipping in the polls.
I guess Fox is first on television because it's audio only on this Twitter announcement.
By the way, given Twitter under Musk has not always, like, been able to stand up in terms of, like, the platform has literally dropped.
That's what Caitlin
times.
was.
So hopefully the audio, hopefully the thing doesn't collapse under the pressure.
Yeah, it's not a non-zero chance.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very, very much.
Okay.